Welcome to the IcyData podcast. Today is June 25th, 2026. Today we'll be covering everything we've missed for the past 6 weeks plus and hopefully get to the draft.
The draft, the lottery, a dozen trades over the past 36 hours.
Trade Fiesta.
Yeah.
I've got it labeled as Trade Frenzy.
All right. So what's at the top of the list?
This is your lane, Mike, the PWHL playoffs.
PWHL playoffs.
All right. Well, just so happens
Canadian,
to have... It just
Canadian
so happens...
Clark Cup or Canadian.
It's based on the name of the
Walter Cup.
trophy?
Yep,
Yeah,
Walter. There we go.
Yeah, it's not the Calder Cup. That's what it started to sound like
Right.
you're saying.
Yeah, well, I was actually going Clark Cup, but then I was just like, that doesn't sound right.
The old one was the Isabel Cup.
Isabel, that's right.
All right, so Montreal won the cup with some great effort toward the end there between Mère-Philippe Poulin and Abby Roque, who I desperately miss with the New York Sirens. Finally, we have a championship team that is not the Minnesota Frost. There are many people for a wide variety of different reasons that are happy about that. I don't think we'd ever hear the end of it if the Frost won a third championship in a row for the first three championships. Overall exciting. Did either of you two wind up watching any of the playoffs?
I watched the very last game that the Victoire won.
Okay.
And honestly, that last game was kind of one-sided, but
one of the few games that was one-sided.
Yeah, which was less exciting, but was a good game. And then Mary-Philippe Poulin had an assist in that one on basically the game winner.
Mm-hmm. To Abby Roque.
Yeah. Too bad that I think I saw that MPP is going to be probably out for a long time next year.
Yeah,
because she's undergoing knee surgery, but
yeah, she has to get worked on her ACL. Yeah, it's not gonna be fun for her. There's two captains in the league actually then they're gonna be out because I can't remember her name, but the captain for Toronto is not resigned this season. They're not going to play because they are pregnant.
Oh,
Blair Turnbull.
Yes, that's right, Blair Turnbull. Yeah, she posted a picture.
Yeah.
Announcing the pregnancy. Yeah.
So congrats to them.
Yeah. But yeah, Marie-Philippe Poulin, she's like 35 and she's going to be undergoing ACL surgery. That is rough.
I mean, stuff like that's happened before. I have a feeling with both her and Hillary Knight that the Hillary Knight just today signed a 2-year extension. Now that she's with Detroit.
Right.
So I have a feeling that both of them are going to try to push it for one final rematch with the gold medal, just because they are some of the greatest. If they're the greatest women hockey players of multiple generations put together, just because there hasn't been the support there for women's hockey.
How dare you put disrespect on Haley Wickenheiser?
It's the situation right now is a lot different than it was before.
That's very true. I would have loved to have seen Wickenheiser play in her prime during the PWHL years.
I mean, so many different players. I mean, it's the fact that we had you made him be who we were referring to. I'm horrible with names. This is why sometimes talking about players get traded or move around or signs. It's like, I think I've heard that name. I have zero idea who the person is, and I need to quickly look up who they are. But there was the female goalie who played the preseason game for the Lightning years ago.
Oh, Menin Rume. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like,
I think her son is actually entering the draft.
Oh, is it? Is she?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yes. Dakota Rome. Rome? I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Mullen.
Okay.
It's her younger son from her second marriage. And he was on the U.S. National Team Development Program.
Okay.
University of Michigan. Also represented the States at the World Juniors.
Nice.
Just this year, or was it this year and last year?
That is a great question. I think just this past year.
Okay.
Uh,
What position does he play?
he is a defenseman.
Okay.
6 foot, 185 pounds.
Yeah, mother must have told him, like, no, you're not going to go goalie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Versus that's the opposite of what every single Canadian hockey parent needs to be saying up in Canada.
Right. Yeah, we're down bad for
It's
goaltenders
like
at the moment.
the only exception might be like right hand D.
Yes. Yeah.
well, in Canada, they're taught, your dominant hand goes up top, whereas
Yeah.
in the U.S., dominant hand goes on the bottom.
Yeah, I don't know who decided that that Canada was gonna go that route, but not good.
It's there's some practicalities of both. Like, do you want more power in your shot, or do you want more finesse in your shot?
Yeah.
And same thing goes for goaltenders as well. It's like, do you want to catch with your dominant hand, or do you want to play the stick with your dominant hand? Now, I've always decided, like, I would rather want to catch with the dominant hand. And my evidence for that being, like, look at the dominance of offhand southpaw goalies. I mean, it's Brendan Bussey's a lefty goalie, and he came in and just dominated that series. But that's getting a bit ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
So, move on to the NHL playoffs. I think
I just want to
give
before
Lang his flowers. He had, I think he had most of the picks correct, if I'm not mistaken.
In our group, yes, I think so. But my overall sort of model, I think, did okay, but not perfect. I think I've put like too much emphasis on individual playoff games versus sort of like um the team season as a whole. And then in addition to that, I don't track injuries, right? It only
Yeah.
um, learns of an injury technically when the roster comes in, and then like say Kale McCarr is not on the roster, like what happened, then it adjusts its projection. But like when it's like just doing a projection for who it thinks is going to win the cup based on like the current season series, it doesn't have that information, but at the individual game level it does. So like individual game level predictions, I was at like 58%, which is pretty awesome.
I mean, you're rocking
But
there
then
for a bit with
like
everything.
yeah, but like the everything projection, because it doesn't have the individual players sort of involved, it's just the team as a collective, I think was a little lower.
Yeah, I'm looking at yours because you did have the Canes winning. So
Yes, yeah. I did have the Canes winning from the rip, or like at the start of the playoffs.
yeah,
Um,
Despite your individual game model, like every single time, almost always favoring the Knights to win heavily.
yep.
yes, especially when they're at home. Um, just
And
a really big push from them from the model, and I got to dig into why. But anytime the Golden Knights
I
were at
can
home,
tell
the
you
model loved
why.
them. Oh,
I
okay,
can
hit
tell
me.
you why. You get the Knights score a lot more goals at home than they do on the road,
That
and
that that could be.
it's mostly power play goals.
Well,
But
if you're
that
getting
that could be
Power
why.
play.
Yeah.
if you're just getting scrapped with the other team and you're better being about being underhanded than your opponent, then you're likely going to wind up getting a few extra power plays.
Yeah.
You know, grease the wheels, give the refs a nice hotel to stay in.
Yeah, I finished the season at 58.7% for overall accuracy. Um, Games where the model was just like high confidence, I was at 62.5%, which is fantastic. Games where I was at medium confidence was 52.8%, and like 52% is kind of like the baseline for like 50-50 in terms of these projections. So 52.8% is just like marginally better than like what a model, like a very bad model would have baseline. So it's not very good. And then games where the model was just like, I have very low confidence in this, I was at 51.9%, which again, that bad model metric. So when the model thought that, hey, this is what's going to happen, it did really, really well. So I feel pretty good about that. We'll see who's going to predict after the first games of next season, once the model learns what players are now on what team, and we'll see who it thinks is going to win the cup.
I've ever said about trying to make a model for guessing which teams are going to draft who.
Oh my god.
Ooh, that would be interesting because I'd have to have like, I'd look at position of the player, right?
Mhm.
I'd have to have the model like guess like, what does this team need based
Yeah.
on like their metrics, right? Do they need a puck moving defenseman? But then even more than that, you have to figure out, well, what is a puck moving defenseman? Like, how does it affect a metric? So you'd
Mhm.
compare a team. You'd like go to the Avalanche, right? You'd compare their metrics with Makar and without Makar, right? And so then you'd be like, okay, so this is what a very like an elite level puck moving defenseman does to a team's metrics. And then you'd have the model be like, okay, well, what team looks like the Avs without Makar
Mhm.
and would benefit the most with a Makar-like player? And then you have to tell the model, okay, which one of these prospects is touted to be the next Makar?
Mhm.
Because you wouldn't, the model wouldn't know who these players are, just their position and their draft ranking. So that would be like a hell of a lot of work, but would be a very cool sort of like case study.
It would be really interesting to see what happens. Like do the teams just follow the blanket rule that you probably should just follow for at least the first, I don't know, 5 to 10 picks of best player available? It doesn't matter who it is, because that was a big
Yeah.
discussion between Islanders fans last season, where it's like, should we draft the best player available, Matthew Schaefer, or should they go and target someone who they feel like they might need more? That's where what's his name, Michael Mesa was coming up. It kept coming up as like people at the time were rathering much more. Some people were rather much more that wanted trying to go after the forward scoring ability, because to have part of the logic was to have a more direct offense ability baked in, instead of having a defenseman sit there in minor leagues for 4 years, 5 years developing. Because they thought, oh, Schaefer's obviously going to take forever to develop, versus what he actually did.
I
Right.
will admit I was incorrect on Schaefer because the one item I didn't account for was the Olympic gap.
Mhm.
Whereas Schaefer would get like 50 games, which would be, like a good chunk of your junior season, take 3 weeks off, and then finish out the season, which
Mhm.
I didn't account for that when I was initially assessing Schaefer. I saw him as someone who had not reached a 70 game threshold in juniors in like the past 3-4 years.
Well, he also, between the various things in his personal life and with breaking his collarbone in World Juniors, he had gone like personal life, between like mom dying, bullet mom dying, going through some nasty sicknesses as well. Like, he had gone through hockey adversity at some of the highest levels. There's like very little adversity that he could have possibly been in that would have something he wouldn't have gone through before. And that emotional maturity is what everyone got to see when most of the world saw him interview him for the first few times on draft day. And that he was able to then carry on throughout the season. Through highs, through lows, through slumps, even though he didn't personally slump too much during the season, he was able to just enjoy every moment of it and keep going.
Yeah. Going back to drafting the best player available, though, the Flyers made out like bandits with Porter Martone, who I think we all saw at the end of the year what a physical, dominant force he is on the ice, with or without the puck. And now Jack Nesbitt, who I believe is going to the University of Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. But Those were at their slots. They were the BPA.
Okay,
Like,
and so what is that's the Flyers drafting them, right?
yeah, Flyers got Porter Martone and Jack Nesbitt.
Oh,
Which is,
right. And Porter Martone had a pretty solid.
yeah, he really good, really came out and set the tempo.
Yeah.
Like that Flyers Penguins series, that was Porter Martone.
Very much
Let's
so.
see
Martone.
what kind of stats I can get on Porter Martone for this season. All right. So obviously he only joined the team
Late, yeah.
late.
But the Flyers also didn't start off too hot to begin with, so they sort of need someone to come on up.
True.
Yeah, they went on a heater when Martone joined the team.
Yeah, of the games he played, there was only, and you guys are gonna love this, there was only one game where he had a negative Corsi. Guess who it was against?
Penguins?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm going to say Carolina.
It was Carolina. Yeah, that was the
Yep.
only game he had a negative Corsi on, and he got absolutely caved. But that was the only negative game. All of the other games, he was a net positive. Even the game where Washington won 6-4, he
Yeah.
was a plus 15%.
I was
Okay.
at his debut game.
Yeah. And he must have had a great game.
He was very dominant on the ice. When I was looking because I sit behind the net and I'm just like, oh boy.
Yeah, he looks good. And his most dominant game was the last game of the year against Montreal, where he was a plus 31% on Corsi Rel. That should tell you that he was just so much better than all other players that Philly iced that night.
Yeah.
Just absolutely fantastic. And by that point, he was getting 16 minutes a night.
That's the impact
as a forward.
That's the impact that I've been saying for years that a young player can wind up having on a team. It doesn't matter how stacked, how studied you think they might be on paper. Sometimes picking that younger kid, that new kid, will just give all the energy to the team. And if we go back to the early days of us recording this, that's, even though it wasn't that long ago, that's what it was saying for the Canadian national team for the Olympics.
Yep.
They didn't have. They only had celebrating like that, which had enough impact, but it wasn't enough.
And here's some comparables for you for the impact that he had. Now, granted, very, very small sample size.
9 games.
Okay, 9 games. Yep. But his Corsi Rel and then his points over 60 minutes. Okay, put him right in the same quadrant as McDavid, McKinnon, and it's a bit of a stretch, but Macklin Celebrini. But the two closest comparables were McDavid and McKinnon, where McDavid was putting up 4.72 points per 60 minutes. Martone was at 4.8. Again, only 9 games, and had a basically finished with a 12% plus 12% Corsi Rel over those 9 games. There's actually only one player that had a higher Corsi Rel to finish the season, and that was Nikita Kucherov. Now, again, only 9 games. He's obviously not even on the list if I, bump the minimum games up. But that's very impressive.
Yeah. There were other young guys that were playing in the playoffs that I saw, but really Porter Martone stood out that series. Yeah, it was
all right.
It was something. I was traveling too, so I didn't get to see everything. But yeah, it was.
Should we start digging into the just, I guess, I mean, we kind of dabbled in it a bit, but should we just start on the NHL playoffs?
Sure.
Yeah, we're on the playoffs. Like we were talking about, you had the best bracket behind Max Power. Max Power had the top EU by 3 points. I had 7 of the 8 first rounds right, and then 10.
all went downhill from there.
Yeah.
I didn't do too bad with picking.
Oof.
I didn't do too bad with picking the first round, but I was picking more of what I wanted to happen, of course, because that's just the type of person I am, and so everything was bad from there. Like Steve wound up saying, Devil Steve, this is like the only reason why he didn't come in last is because I was there last.
Yeah. I was 6th. I think the Avalanche, all the injuries they got during that conference final, just I'm not gonna lie, that series against the Wild was really brutal.
It's fun to watch though.
No, oh yeah, but it was just brutal, and they just got wrecked. But by the time they limped into Vegas, they were cooked. They just did not have they just didn't have the manpower, unfortunately. And then you look on the East side, Obesh carried the Canadians to another Eastern Conference Finals.
I still feel like if the Sabres had won that series, like they have an argument to say that they actually should have wound up winning that with that goal that was called off. But I feel like if the Sabres wound up winning that, they had enough momentum sort of going there in their favor, and they had that same sort of came from behind attitude. I mean, look at the first game that they played against Buffalo, like how they went down and came back, and they were able to storm through the entire series there for round one. I felt like they would have had the best odds out of any team that Carolina played of doing better than any of those 4 teams.
Or no, Carolina, they played 4 or 5 game series, swept Ottawa, swept the Flyers, Vegas. Well, Vegas was 6, but yeah, it's hard to say because the way the Hurricanes play, like if Tim was here, he could give more detail. But the amount of forechecking pressure they put on.
I've watched a lot of Hurricanes postseasons over the past few years. As an Islanders fan, I've watched a fair amount, unfortunately.
Last year they knocked out the Caps, so I was like,
yeah, only one time.
Forecheck.
Only one time getting knocked out by the Hurricanes recently.
2019, I was at Game 7 there. Game 7 in Game 5 last year. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there was the Islanders back-to-back losses to the Caps in the first round, and then there was the year of the broom, from going back into was it 2019, which was fun to begin with. I mean, we got to sweep the Penguins. I always like that.
Yeah, it was just a shame everybody forgot about that because another really good team got swept that day. Columbus swept the Lightning same day.
Everything was focused on the Islanders being down by 2, and people just like, the Lightning, they'll come back in Game 3, and then like both teams wound up winning their Game 3s, and it's like no one notices or cares about the Islanders anymore until they got swept by the Hurricanes, and then people were making fun of the Islanders like we didn't just sweep the Penguins, where people had picked to win the Stanley Cup again.
That was an interesting playoffs just because it ended up with St. Louis and Boston kind of like all the heavyweights got knocked out early, so Boston kind of had a cakewalk to the cup.
And then they get the Stanley Cup final, and they get outplayed on like every possible thing you could, at least from the eye test, you can remember that you see happening out there on the ice. It's like there was nothing that they can do. They gave effort. I'll give them that. They gave 100% effort, but their 100% just wasn't enough. Their 100% wasn't enough for St. Louis's 95%.
Yeah. I think the other interesting thing about the playoffs is now we see teams that, won series and now they're selling off players if we want to move into the recent trade frenzy.
Sure. I feel like I need a chart for this.
I got it. Lang, you got Any final thoughts on the Cup finals?
No, not really. I'm kind of trying to run something so that I can see um all of my playoff predictions based on the day. I can get to that later once the query's done running. So we could just move on to trades. I already and like I've thought of the first thing that like I want to talk about, and does it make sense to combine the two trades the Sens made into
Discussion.
one big
I'm
discussion?
literally gonna go down the list, and the Panthers deal for the Kraken, and the Sens deal for the draft picks, and then
Right.
the Sharks deal for that draft pick.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I've got it queued up.
Okay.
So
Let's hit it.
all right, the first one, surprising. The Sharks moved down. They had the 20th overall pick that they had received from another team in a trade. They swapped with Buffalo. Buffalo, a team that made to the second round, and they got Michael Kesserling, who it looks like they're gonna sign if they haven't already.
How many
Which was
parsecs did he wind up moving in that trade?
Airsex?
I'm making a Star Wars joke. The Kessel Run?
Yeah, Kesselring is arbitration eligible UFA RFA, so they're probably gonna
Okay, I'll
cut a deal
I'll
there.
keep my bad Star Wars jokes to myself.
Sorry, man.
I appreciated it.
I haven't checked out of Star Wars since I saw Episode 3.
No, this is
I have the high ground.
this is a reference to Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon. Like it did the Kessel Run and was at less than 12 parsecs.
There you go.
So this is a truly OG joke.
That is very old. I mean,
Okay,
I saw the original. But
sorry for derailing everything.
So again, the Sharks get Kesselring and the 27th pick from Buffalo.
Yep.
For the 20th pick,
which originally belonged to Edmonton.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and Buffalo sent their 27th to San Jose. An Edmonton pick. There's like going to be a crazy list draft day tree this year's draft.
I cannot wait for Steve and SCPN to start up a trade tree because they said they're going to do that. They're going to do that again.
Oh yeah, some of these trade trees like 10 years from now are going to be absolutely insane.
I mean,
like,
some of the existing trade trees that have happened are already exploded since then.
Yeah, like the Nemec trade where there's 2 first-round picks in different years, and what that is going to look like. That's just.
Well, we're going to get there. Okay, so San Jose originally got this in a deal when they sent when Jake Wallman, his contract got unloaded to from Edmonton to San Jose. And then, it was a first-round pick. So, Jake Wallman, thank you for your service.
Hold on, I want to count how many. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 first-round picks in this first round that are not with their original team.
Yeah.
and we had the number 4 pick move. Like, how often does a pick that high up just move in general? It's just it's unheard of for the NHL.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective, for next year, only 6 first-round picks have changed hands, and for last year, let's see how many. 1, 2.
There's at least 2.
15.
Wow, yeah. So maybe this is normal. Who knows?
Yeah, this is the new thing now.
It's slowly creeping up.
Yeah.
And also, Lang, what would you want for the first overall pick this year?
It's a great question.
We might see what happens with the second overall pick very soon. Apparently,
would you take the second overall pick and the 9th overall pick from San Jose for the first overall pick?
I don't think you do. I think you have to draft McKenna.
EPA, yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you are the Leafs and you want the 2nd or the 9th or the 4th,
You got to unload Easton Cowan, get the 4th.
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to unload Easton Cowan. I think they would unload Nyes before Cowan. However, I feel like I would rather unload Cowan versus Nyes.
Because Cowan's the unknown. He's not a known commodity.
Well, he played in the NHL this year and he did fairly well, and I think he's going to get better. But he is a small player, and I feel like we're entering the era now where like Washington did so well for so long, in my opinion, is because no other team had a Tom Wilson. And there were lots of tough players that would be willing to mix it up with him, but none of them could score like Wilson could.
They had a
And
guy in Bobby McMahon.
yeah, but again, he didn't really have the same touch as Tom Wilson did, right? And so Nyes has that potential to be a really big body who will fight, he will battle, he will hit you, and can still make you pay on the scoreboard. Like he gets time on the power play. And so like all of these rumors about Nyes getting traded, like I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Leafs are going to stand pat at the number 1 pick. They're going to pick McKenna. They're not going to trade for 2, 4, or 9, because I don't think they should. The only trade that I like would be Cowan for probably the 4th pick to pick a defenseman in that first crop of the top 5.
We'll get to the draft soon.
Yeah, but like the only it would be and like Chase Reed is probably going to go pretty high, but that's who you'd be trading Easton Cowan for, would be a Chase Reed or a Verhoff, or a Smiths or Carson Carroll's. Yeah, that would be the only trade that I would make, is I would move Easton Cowan, because you don't trade Nyes because you're going even farther back in time for development, whereas Easton Cowan, you've only really had him a year, so you're only losing like a year in terms of like developing a player. And the Leafs are in win now mode. It's like this is
They don't want to be given top 10 lottery picks to teams. That's the problem.
I mean that too, but they've got Matthews for what, 2 more years, and if they move the needle, Matthews stays. If he doesn't, Matthews goes. I'm okay with it either way, honestly. But you can't give away the players that you're gonna need for when Matthews leaves, right? If he leaves, and so you got to make smart trades for the future of what the Leafs are going to be,
Speaking
with
of a
or
smart
without
trade,
Matthews. Yeah.
smart trade, 5th round pick for Darren Radish.
That was a fantastic move. You probably kept the cost on Radish down because you got to negotiate before anybody else. I'm sure he probably would have hit 9, maybe 9.5 on open market. I did see people saying he would reach 10. And given how much the cap is going up, I could see 10. We all know it's a gamble, but again, you're trying to get the Leafs back into relevancy, right? And so you don't give up top 10 protected picks to the fucking Boston Bruins, who have been your Achilles heel before, and you're just doing it again. Like, anyway, that is
Lang. I just want to bring something up because you didn't mention it at all.
Yep.
Maybe I only heard about it today when I was on my way home. Did you wind up seeing this? I just posted. Morgan Riley submitted teams he'd be willing to be traded to.
Yes. Cheka also said something today, actually, that Riley's probably not going to be traded. And it's kind of similar to the Marner leaving and Kadri leaving, in that, like, Kadri left because he made two dumb decisions in the playoffs that cost us, and
He got suspended in the playoffs.
yeah.
Bad.
Which, I mean, I have opinions on that, given what the refs let Boston get away with in those series. And then this isn't a Homer Leaf fan going on about this. Like, legitimately, like, the Leafs were absolutely abused by the Bruins, and it was just allowed to continue. And then Kadri lost his temper and did something stupid, like even more reckless than what Boston was doing. And so the fan base, the GM, leadership, whoever, just they get fed up and they're just like, okay, it's time for a change. With Marner, Kyle Dubas tried to trade Marner, and Shanahan said no.
Said no. Yeah.
And so years later, they tried to trade Marner for Rantanen in like a 1-for-1, and Marner, justifiably so, is just like, no, I'm about to have a kid. I have a no move clause. I'm going to use it. And
Yeah. Out
then
of all the
we're
selfish reasons you could possibly pick.
right, exactly. And then we're at the point where it's just like, okay, everyone's kind of just fed up with how he's performed in the playoffs, because again, he was an absolute stud in the regular season, and just for the team as a whole. Like, he obviously wasn't like a locker room cancer. He genuinely seemed like a fantastic teammate. But like, everyone was just done, and including himself. He didn't like the way fans were treating him, and the Leafs didn't like how he wasn't showing up in the playoffs. And so they move on. And with Riley, I kind of felt like it's gotten to the point where he's been here for 12 years, which is crazy to say. He's got over 1,000 games in a Leaf uniform because he started at 18, and he's probably got another like
I thought it was
400
just
games left in his career.
I thought it was just under 1,000 games, what I heard, but
Is it just
regardless.
under? Regardless, he's hitting 1,000 games
Yeah.
here, and he has been. I'm of the opinion, like, he's been here through thick and thin. I would have liked to have seen like Morgan Riley be the captain of this team when that was up in the air, because like the Captain Morgan sponsorship writes itself.
Yeah, it does really. It's just no reason why you can't wind up having that. It's like
Right.
oh, your young
That
player, your prospect grew.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, like, he underperformed, but he underperformed with a coach that didn't really know how to use this roster.
Mhm.
Honestly, like, when the Leafs were interviewing Peter Laviolette, I was just like, okay, well, there's a very offensive-minded coach. Maybe that can work.
Yeah, the total number of NHL games, by the way, is 951 right now, according
Yeah.
to
So
Wikipedia.
he's barring the catastrophe, he's going to hit 1,000 this year, and I hope it is in a Leaf jersey, and I hope that he can refine his game and stay.
Yeah,
Because it does feel like we're hitting a point where both the player and the team are just like, okay, you've been here for 12 years. This just it's not working. Maybe we both need to move on.
yeah. I do
But
perceive
then,
it matters nothing for what's on ice, but I do perceive like it bothers me so much when like you got a player that played that 951 games or 986 games or whatever, and they go to another team and they're barely there, and they're the ones that get the award ceremony for the silver stick, and then they wind up getting traded at the deadline anyway.
yep,
Matt
yep,
Anyway, that
Sundin.
same season.
Matt
yep,
Sundin. Anyone?
yeah, yeah. But so, like, I I don't think they should trade Riley. You'd be trading him on pennies on the dollar. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. Um, and like, even if it's like 80% of what his best year was, which was like putting up like 60 points, that's still great for a second pair defenseman. 7.5 million is what he's getting paid. That deal's going to age better
Oh, with
every
how the
year
cap's going up, I mean,
with the cap
it's
going up. And like the Leafs are going to be one of the few teams that can actually spend to the new cap.
yeah.
Um,
It's like the number was something like over the next few years going up like 30%.
yeah,
We're talking
it's going to be
like $20 million in more cap space.
yeah, exactly. And all of these teams that have signed like really great deals with their players, it's going to become less and less relevant as the cap just keeps skyrocketing because they're not going to be able to spend to the cap anyway. Like
I I
a
I
lot of these teams just won't be able
disagree.
to. Oh, they just won't be able to afford it.
No, because based on HRR, they will be able to afford it. It's just, do they want to pocket that extra money or not?
And
Yeah.
of course, they will want to pocket that extra money.
Yeah. How
right?
much is the floor going to go up over the next few years? I was just
Oh,
thinking about that
that's
earlier.
fantastic. That's a fantastic question.
Because like obviously if the floor is not going up at all, then yeah, there's going to be some teams that aren't going to be going up. But if the difference between the floor and the ceiling is even $30 million, I think teams are going to are going to spend that space for the most part, like they have been, just to try to make up that difference in spending, and spending with merchandise and tickets and stuff like that. But if you're talking $60 million difference between the floor and the cap, there's gonna be some like Pittsburgh Pirate teams out there that are not going to be spending money.
Sure. So right now,
Vancouver.
the floor is 76.9 million, right? Which is roughly 74% of the cap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so like just sticking with that number, if we're going up 30%, that puts the cap at 130 million. Okay. And you multiply that by 74%. I'm using a calculator here so I don't fuck over math. $96.2 million. Okay. That will be the floor, which like was the salary cap a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are obviously like teams are going to have to spend, but I don't know how many teams in the NHL can afford to spend $134 million.
That Scott Mayfield contract is looking better each day. Still doesn't look that good, but it's looking better each day.
So, just for reference, with hockey-related revenue, HRR,
Sure.
all the owners, none of the owners are going to lose money. It's
With
on
the profit
all the
sharing.
extra junk that you do where you lose the money.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Poor investment choices, so to speak.
But you do need to remember that these are businesses.
Yeah.
And they need to make money.
Yes.
And so
But they will all break even because of the way the revenue is structured.
sure, they'll break even, but that's not going to have your team like you're not going to be making any money. And I'm sure there are teams that there are owners that want to make money.
Yeah, there's gonna be owners that might purchase a team and take down all the banners and never do anything like that again and try to milk everything dry.
And like, don't get me wrong, like as the cap continues to go up and the floor continues to go up, teams will obviously still spend. But I can definitely see teams like as the cap goes to 130 million, there are teams that will have like an internal cap of 115 million, 120 million. Then when the cap goes up to 150, they'll have an internal cap of like 130 million, 140 million.
Yeah, or just
Whereas
Just so
teams
they're
like the
guaranteed the
Rangers, the
profit.
Leafs, they're just going to say we're spending to the cap. We are spending all 150 million dollars. And it does remind me of before we had the cap, where I can remember there being like rumors of the Leafs trying to go in on like Bobby Holik for like 20 million a year or something because they really didn't have a cap, and that was the price to like just get a body to come to Toronto, like outbid another team. And I think we're going to be going back to that, which is great for me as a Leaf fan, but kind of bad as a whole for
The rest of the league?
the rest of the league.
That's why I brought up the cap. The floor needs to follow up with the cap proportionally.
Right, exactly. And so the league is going to have to find a solution for this if the teams end up with those internal caps where they don't want to spend all the way. It might also help, and it might like even things out for like the teams that don't have income taxes. Because now the team with no income tax can be like, yeah, we'll pay you, 10 million a year and you don't have to pay income tax. But then the
You
Leafs come
hate
along
income
and say, hey,
tax.
yeah, you got to pay income tax, but we'll give you 14 million a year.
I do
Right?
wonder. I do wonder if there's going to be something, and maybe not this CBA that's been talked about for over the past like year or so. If like the next CBA is going to have something about like cap adjusted for taxation.
I don't think so. Not with
Nope.
I would say if the cap stayed the way it was, yes, absolutely. But with to D's point of HIR going up and these owners breaking even, um and with the cap being so high, um teams like the Rangers, the Leafs, Montreal, where they have to worry about state income tax and just Canadian taxes in general, they're not going to care. There are a couple teams that are going to have issues, like Winnipeg, right?
Okay, so sorry. It's
Do you see
just
Winnipeg being able to spend $130 million a year?
I don't know who their
I
owner
don't.
is. If they're depending on who their owner is that takes everything.
The Jets are owned by True North Sports, and the chairman of that, I want to say, is God.
Oh,
I've been touting
that's
this
like saying that the Leafs are owned by MLSE,
Mark
but not
Chipman.
saying
So,
they're owned by Rogers.
Yeah, yeah.
so it's Mark Chipman who is the chairman and governor of the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
Regardless,
I shouldn't shake my head too much of that. Like the Islanders are owned by rich people that are rich because they're rich because of other previous business
oh,
that
of
they did in the
course.
past. It's not like it's just too much of a business over top of it right now. But anyway,
Yeah.
I just quickly looked it up. This upcoming season, the cap is going to be a 95.5. The floor is 70.6. Next, the season. So that was the current season. Next
Yep.
season is going to
It's
be
104.
104 with the
Yep.
floor of 76.9.
Yep.
And then the 27-28 has the upper limit of 113.5 and a floor of 38.9. So it is following.
Yeah.
So this is good. Hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah. I
Because
think the tax issue is going to become less of an issue as the cap keeps going up.
yeah,
But there are teams that are just going to get bitten doubly so, which I imagine will be
likely.
like the Winnipeg Jets, who probably cannot spend to the cap. Not that they don't want to, but that they actually can't, and also have to deal with taxes.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think part of
it'll be
their
difficult to lure people there.
the Jets
There's
I think need to work something out with like they have the smallest arena in the NHL right now if I remember right. At
yes,
something like 14,500 seats. And
Mhm.
that place
15.
that sure.
It's just over 15.
But it's and that place is always packed. It's not like there is demand there to so
No, not anymore.
not okay. Maybe okay, going off a
Not
year then.
anymore.
I was gonna say then it's like they need to do something about that. They can boost their revenues for just having more seats. But apparently I'm wrong there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's now Canada Life Center. Oh, that's a record attendance. No, it's up to, yeah, it's 15,225. So, there's not much you can do uh once you have the structure built. You can get really creative like the Rangers did where they have the skyboxes that come from the ceiling.
Yeah, there's the terrace,
Uh
sky bridges things. They're weird.
yeah. Calgary has those too. Calgary and Vancouver actually have suites up there.
Well, you could say Calgary used to.
No, this season they do. Next year
The
they won't. I haven't seen the plans on the new building, so I can't say that.
well, I think
But
it's
a
more. I
lot
think
of,
it's more of a traditional arena.
but I have seen Canadian stadiums and arenas where they have the skyboxes from the ceiling. Vancouver, I've seen it at. I saw it in Calgary. Edmonton's new rink does not have it. Their old rink did. I haven't seen Winnipeg, and I believe not Toronto. Montreal might have it because Montreal they figured out a way to get 20,000 people in there.
Just to go back to what I was talking about before, I'm looking at Hockey DB right now, and this season is not that much. This past season, no, it's not. It's not that much lower. It's the average attendance by only like 140 people difference from last season, and
No, they have
that's higher by about a whole 1,000 people than the season before that.
they have season tickets because I have friends up one. They're season tickets, but you have season tickets. Very hard to resell your tickets up there. Plus, the economy in Winnipeg's a bit harder right now.
I understand that, but I'm talking about just people in seats.
It's paid attendance.
Yeah.
All attendances are paid attendance. It's not how many people came through the gate. It's how many people paid for seats.
Yeah, so for instance, I've got season tickets with the Kraken. Even if I don't show up, it still counts as I am there because I bought that seat.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, you can still take a look what I linked it in the episode 6 chat. For what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. Going back to areas with tax advantages, Florida, even with all their tax advantages, could not fit Mackie Samoskevich into their plans. So they sent Samoskevich to the Kraken in your neck of the woods, Lang, for the 25th overall pick and
another middle six forward. That's the Kraken's bread and butter, middle six forward that will not move the needle.
Yeah.
And then the Panthers. It moves the needle on number of middle six forwards you have.
And then the Panthers packaged the 9th and the 25th pick along with a conditional second for the goofier looking Tkachuk brother.
It felt like the reaction, at least for the first day, without just looking online, people was like, either not worried about like, okay, so they got the other Tkachuk, what of it, to people like being terrified, like we're gonna play one game against Florida, and half of our stars are gonna be injured, like instantly.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure like Campbell is still involved with the Panthers as well, and that's like it's been like he's been literally caught, yelling at people for making his teams lose. So I don't know, like the Panthers are not going to be a fun team to play against. And
they also released their preseason schedule today. 2
games
games against the Lightning, 2 games against the Hurricanes.
Love that.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
Tim seen this yet? I want to know what his reaction is to that.
The NHL really should have just vetoed Lightning Panthers in the preseason. Like, holy shit. And I think the worst part about that is it was all Florida's fault, but only Tampa got punished, which was, it's just absolutely asinine. And this probably goes back to Campbell again. Like, I cannot fathom a reason why the Panthers were not punished at all for any of those games.
I got nothing to tell you.
Hey, my Islanders got their preseason out yesterday.
I mean, if you really want to have some fun, you can go dig into Colin Campbell's emails that got leaked in Discovery when former officials sued the NHL.
The Islanders have 2 rookie camp games against the Devils. That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah, but you know what I'm referring to, Lane? This was about. I'm gonna sound dated. This is
no. Those are the emails I was talking about. Those are the emails I was talking about because they came up in Discovery, and he was literally yelling, like emailing officials about making calls about like players on the Bruins when he was with the Bruins, and almost certainly he's doing the same thing for the Panthers. The man's a menace, and he should not be anywhere near the NHL.
It's an old boys club for a reason.
Yeah.
Now, Brady, are you going to have a crazy top 9 there in Florida where they can't afford a goalie or another defenseman?
Yeah, they've got
They,
about $5.8 million in cap space, according to Puckpedia, and
no goalies.
no
So,
goalies signed.
so I just
Yeah,
got really excited about
that's
something.
What?
No, the
And
Islanders two preseason games at UBS Arena are Friday and Saturday. So
nice.
that means I'm definitely going to be attending both of those games.
Yep. So I heard, again, like this is just watching like Elliot Friedman and other insiders on Twitter, basically, that the Panthers are trying to move Evan Rodriguez,
Yep, you are.
because right now he's like their fourth center, um, in their depth chart, and you shouldn't be
He's
paying a
actually
fourth
playing
line center
wing.
$3 million.
He's on the wing. They
And
have
that worked for the Islanders.
Well, he might be on the wing, but with like they just picked up Garnet Hathaway,
he's a
um,
winger.
who's a winger that probably moves Rodriguez down the middle, and I'm pretty sure Rodriguez has played down the middle as well. Same with Buckfist, honestly, who's a much more palatable 1.5 million for a fourth line center.
I
Um,
I I will correct myself. Evan Rodriguez hasn't playing. He played center last season for Florida.
Yeah, there you go. So they want to move on with him, which would give them another $8 million or another $3 million to put them at like 8.8 to at least maybe sign Bob to a 1 or 2 year deal. Because I assume they want to keep Bob or potentially try and get Hellebuck at a cheaper value, but they don't have anything worth anything to trade to Winnipeg for that deal. So I see re-signing Bob at 8 million per as a much more reasonable ask than getting Hellebuck. The downside is they still need to sign a couple RFAs. I am unsure how much Donovan Sabrango is to their team,
Hmm.
um, or Cole Schwint, but I could see both of those guys walking. Um, in
Well,
addition,
Schwinn has bounced around a bit. I remember he went to Vegas, Calgary, and now he's
right.
back here.
But
He was,
like
I think
Vinny
he was in the Huberdeau trade
Hinostroza's,
actually.
oh, was it the Huberdeau? But like Vinny Hinostroza is probably going to walk. Thomas Nosek is going to walk. AJ Greer, Luke Kunin, Noah Gregor, Nolan Foote. They're probably all going to walk because there's just no money for them. Um, they're going to have trouble with depth if Bob is getting paid 8 million, whatever that deal is going to be. They are not going to have any wiggle room for any sort of injuries that happen. They better pray that they stay healthy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to
The
be
exact
digging in.
opposite of this past year.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
Cole Schwint was in the Huberdeau trade for Matthew Kachuk,
There you go. He is an RFA, so it's not like he's got a lot of rights.
but
Um,
it's arbitration.
but yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Um, I envision Florida probably wants to move um, Rodriguez, um, maybe even Lusterinen. Um,
Lusterinen is that third line guy. I think they're keeping him.
yeah, but potentially you could replace him and re-sign Vinny Hinostroza. He might be able to fill in at least a little bit of the gap. I don't know. I mean, Hinostroza only had, um, I think, 18 points last year compared to Lusterinen's 33. But you also don't have to pay Vinny Hinostroza $3 million a year, right? Um, they got to figure
The
out how
issue
they're
with
going to be able to re-sign Bob while maintaining that depth, and that's going to be really difficult for them right now. I don't see a lot of ways out of it.
yeah, I don't I don't know. We'll see, but let's follow that 9th overall pick.
Mhm.
Actually, let's follow the 25th. Yeah, the 9th overall pick that Florida sent. So the Sharks send William Eklund and a few other prospects as centers for the 9th overall.
Yeah, like,
Wait.
and we should like look at all of those trades with each other, right? So the Sens get Eklund, but send out Brady Kachuk, and then they get the 9th, 25th conditional second, and then send out the 9th overall.
Yeah, because it was a weird way. It was sort of like a four-way trade.
Yeah, kind of. And I think honestly, the Senators did something that not a lot of teams, like the GM Steos, did something that not a lot of GMs are brave enough to
Yeah.
do.
Most GMs just don't have the balls to do it.
Yeah, and I really respect that. And I hate that I'm saying that about the Sens because like I grew up hating that rivalry or just like hating the Sens, but that was a very shrewd move.
Yeah, love the
And
rivalry,
Sens
hate the team.
fans, yeah, right. And then the Sens should be really proud that Steos had the gumption to make this move.
Mm-hmm.
And you can argue that they probably should have gotten more, but Brady wanted to go to Florida.
Well,
And
supposedly what it was is the locker room, the other players on the team went to
Oh,
management
they
and
didn't
said,
want him.
yeah, they said that they no, we don't want him on the team anymore. We don't like him. We want him gone.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
there was
it's
a presser.
basically what
Hold on.
happened with the other Kachuk brother and Calgary. Like they
Yeah.
were just
No, it's different actually. So what happened was with Brady, apparently issues started festering after the Four Nations face-off. That the locker room started having issues with Brady because that was Canada, USA,
Mm-hmm.
Sweden, Finland,
right.
and then it exacerbated after the Olympics.
So what did like Brady just like go to the Four Nations and then the Olympics and come and was just like rah 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 Canada sucks. What am I doing here? Like
I mean,
Hey,
in a way. I mean, all
did
you
you
have to do
see
is take a
the?
look at his comments and what he thinks of people,
Yeah,
and you can kind of make those connections.
it's insane to me. I also like heard, and this is I don't know how substantiated this rumor is, but like his father Keith was like, "I'm going to get my son out of Ottawa," or "I got to get my son out of Ottawa."
I believe that because
Yeah, I could
Keith
believe
is
it.
not known as a good person outside of St. Louis.
Yeah, yeah. That
He
like
is.
that's insane to me. And honestly, I'm glad that the Senators got Eklund. That's going to be a
Well,
really good player for a long time.
my my
Um,
my view with the Senators as well is like it was sort of like the same thing with a few other players recently. Like it was felt like it's pretty much confirmed that one way or another over the next few years he was going to be gone. Whether it be
right,
free agency, he's not gonna resign with them, or if he's gonna want to gain trade in some type of way. If you know you're gonna lose him at some point anyway, why not take advantage and get value for him now? That you can start working on his pieces now versus when everyone else in the team is 2 years older, and your potential window with those other players has now shrunk down.
right.
Well, going back to Matthew, what you were mentioning earlier, it was not. It wasn't. How do I put this? It wasn't the team. He had an issue with Daryl Sutter, and Kings fans can tell you this. Um, anywhere that Daryl Sutter's coached, he has a certain play style he wants from you, and it really wears you down. And it got to the point that Goudreau and Kachuk did not want to continue playing for Sutter, despite all the success they had. Something happened with the Kings. There were players after those couple cup runs where they're like, it's fun. We got our cups. And then I think it was the 14-15 season where you started seeing the team blow up. Where they're just like, I don't want to stick around with Sutter. So it is for Matthew, it was not so much he didn't like Canada. It was more so coach.
Okay, okay. I could
Yeah.
see Sutter like grading on people for sure.
He's a very demanding coach.
Yeah.
Was it? I forget who it was, but there were players that I think might have been Toffoli. I might be misquoting that loved playing for him, but said it was like a really hard style to play. This was heavy forecheck,
Sure.
and
Sure.
if you're
Sure.
not forechecking, he's on you. And
Right.
the Kings are going to find that out again soon with Peter Laviolette. But that's for another day.
Right.
But going back to the Sharks signing Eklund, the funny thing about that is, I'm going to jump ahead a little on the list, is that if they had not shipped out Eklund, they were going to take Chase Reed. But because they shipped out Eklund, now they have a spot for Ivan Stenberg. And
Okay. Yeah.
Chicago's like, oh, crud. So what did Chicago do?
That's a bad trade. I think we can all agree like Bowen Byram is a good hockey player, but he's not
Yeah.
4th overall pick.
He was a 4th overall pick.
Right, but he's
Well,
not worth being traded for that now.
You would be correct because I've seen him since his days in Vancouver for the Giants before they moved from the old Vancouver Coliseum. No, did he play in the Coliseum? No, he did play in the Coliseum. He played in the Langley Event Center when they finally moved there.
Sure.
Um, he is a top pairing blue liner.
Hmm.
He is 100% a top pairing blue liner. Is he a number one? You know, that's the hard part.
I mean,
But he is a top pairing blue liner. But
yeah,
you
it's
sent out
just
the number
surprising what
4.
happened with it.
yeah, I
You
mean, he
sent
could
out
turn into that number one. I don't see it.
that's fine. He's also been stuck behind McCarr, Manson, and Tays in Colorado, and now he Power and Darlene, and then he got jumped by who's our other defenseman? Samuelson.
Yeah, speaking of past, like
So
I'm glad he's finally like being something now. He always seemed like such a dud for years. Just like he'll be there eventually, and then it wasn't too much in like this season. Finally, he's finally actually like he was the first overall. He's actually playing. Playing like a first overall pick. Should be playing by this point.
Yeah.
oh, Greenway was also sent from Buffalo,
Yep. Yep.
a former Olympian who I I don't it just escapes me how he's not playing better than his size. He just doesn't use his size as well as I think he should. But yeah,
You know, there's quite a few players who are like that. Like I can remember JVR with the Leafs, like as big as a house, but like wasn't particularly physical. You need to the one upside I can say is he's got longevity because like there's not a lot of like abuse that his body takes.
mhm,
And I would say like that's a benefit. You just hope that he can use his size in other ways, like JVR did, sitting in front of the net, deflecting pucks, and getting goals, and like trying to be effective with his size. That doesn't even like because it does feel like he's not the type of player that's going to run into the corner and run you through the wall.
he
But that
is.
also means like you need to be able to use your body in other ways for the benefit of your team.
If you actually look at his game worn jerseys, he has the rare 56 plus size jersey, which is a 56 but like 2 inches longer because he is a stick.
I
He
see.
is
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
he
the
can't.
jerseys that I want.
Yeah, 56 plus. Yeah, so this Greenway was worn for the Winter Classic in 22, and I mean he's a great. He was great in college and early on in Minnesota. It just seems like he's hesitant to like really fully embrace like a heavy game. And then yeah, Byram again. He's a top pairing blue liner, but you send the 4th, the 45th, and then this Crevier, who is 6'8", and I have no idea why you would want to get rid of a guy like that.
I mean,
who's
that's not
he's a
entirely unheard of,
project.
because didn't Detroit send his last name starts with an E. I'm blanking on it, but he was like 6'7", and they sent him
Soderblom.
to they sent him to Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
And so like, I think when you are that big of a skater, you're not a goalie, a skater specifically. I just like, statistically, you're not you're not an impact forward. With the exception of Tage Thompson, can you tell me a player who's been an impact player? Okay, because I can count them on one hand. Like, you've got Chara,
Ara.
you Tage Thompson,
Uh, EVR 6'6" or 6'5"?
but like, there's just, when you're that tall, it does feel like it is harder to have an impact, because your elbow is at somebody's head height. You can't just go in for a casual body check. The rules are legitimately against you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember ref in hockey and just had a big dude, and he's just like literally just digging a puck out of the corner, and you just see his elbow go straight up into somebody's head. It's just like,
Yeah, and because one of the at least with USA Hockey, one of the biggest keywords is, it is on the onus of the attacking player
Hmm.
not to make contact with a player's head. So even if you are 6'7", and you're playing up against a player who's 6 feet tall, which is still big, right? Your elbow is going into their head, and like, what are you supposed to do? The onus is on you. So now you're legitimately playing a different hockey game than all of these other players.
yeah, and also you had players like they'd see a taller guy, right? And when he's like got his arm up, they'd like
Hmm.
stick their head right through that pocket. It's like, what are you doing?
Right. And so when you are that tall, um, if you don't learn the game differently, you're going to struggle. And like, you've seen it with, so Tage Thompson is not a physical player. Okay. He
Yeah.
can be, okay, but he is a goal scorer, right? He is a
Mhm.
playmaker. He is like your elite package. When he makes a body check, he's not trying to drive somebody through the boards. It's like the US, honestly, I've seen this a lot from like USA Hockey and the US National Development Program. They're trying to separate the body from the puck, okay, in such a way that you're not getting knocked on your ass, but you are still getting the puck. You see Matthews do it, you see Tage Thompson do it, and that's just the style of hockey you have to play when you get that large. And if you can't do it properly, you're not going to be successful. I think Chara succeeded mostly because when he is as a defenseman, he's not going into the corner in the offensive zone typically very
Hmm.
often, right? He's not the
Yeah.
one instigating the hits,
Yeah.
right? Everyone is instigating the hit against him, right?
Yeah.
It's
He
much
was.
easier to keep your elbows down when you're getting the hit, because you're bracing for the hit. And so he was successful, I feel like, because he was never the one having to instigate.
Yeah,
He
the two big
used his
things that I
hand.
felt like was for him were like he had really aggressive. I think he had really aggressively cut skates, so able to stop really quickly and have other players run into him.
Yes. Yep.
And then because of his height and his exception for stick length, people had no idea how far he can just poke check you when you got close to him. So it's like, oh, you have the puck. You think you're just gonna know. It's like he's gonna get the puck one way or another, and then
Yep.
you're gonna be slamming into his arm as his arm because he's now stopped and you're still skating.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
one of the things Char did really well was he used his arms. So you saw a lot of like
Yeah.
instead of putting his shoulder down, it's hands out, putting the hands together on the stick,
Hmm.
cross check a dude.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of
So
players when they try to emulate that, they start getting issues of high sticks because like their hands will go together like they're holding a lightsaber, and now their stick's way up in the air and hitting someone in
yeah,
the face.
Yep. And I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but my last point for this would be is, in North American hockey, they treat puberty as a skill. And so
yeah,
you're really, really big, okay,
I've
you don't
never
have
heard
to
it
be a
described that way,
particular
but it's fascinating.
it is.
y-
It is. I can go in depth too,
yeah,
but I'll let
but
Lang
like,
finish.
if you're a really big player, you're not particularly a good hockey player yet, they don't care. You're 6 foot at 15 years old. You're like 5'11" at 13. A few years ago I reffed a goaltender, and he was 6 feet tall, and I asked him how tall he was, and he told me or asked him how old he was, and he told me 13. Okay.
Is this a U15?
No, he was playing for a U18 team already.
Ooh.
Wow.
At 13 years old, because he was 6 feet tall at 13 years old.
That I can
And so-
understand that for goalies a bit more than other players. If you're talking defense, a skater, I would say that might not be, but a goalie, I can see that.
Sure. But even with players, when you see a child that is, their height is just absolutely skyrocketing, like you can't teach like the thinking portion of the game. I think players have to like develop that naturally. But you can teach repetition. You can teach if A, do B. Okay, that's kind of how I was taught playing hockey growing up. And the game is so fast that this is the differentiation between a good player and an elite player. Okay, the good player has memorized, like, if I'm in situation A, I'm going to do B. They don't have to look. They know that the teammate is going to be in a spot, because that is the way you're taught to play hockey. It is like the Panarins, the Matthews, the Hughes brothers. Okay, these are the players that are able to slow the game down. Okay, and then they know if situation A happens, that they're supposed to do situation B, but they also know that, oh, I've actually got an extra 2 seconds to see what else is out there. Okay, those are the elite players. That is the difference. And you can teach the very good. Okay, and if you are big enough and it looks like you're going to be a very tall hockey player, a very big hockey player, you can be in the hall of very good and have a fantastic career and make lots of money just having the repetition.
Yeah, I agree with that from everything I know. Like, I never had the luxury to wind up playing really any sports outside of the swim team. So that's just because like the expenses were a free swimming pool provided by New York City and a bathing suit and goggles. That's
Sure.
all that's all that was required. But going back,
what other trades do we have?
Devils sending Nemec and Siplikov to the Flames for 2 first-rounders.
Yeah, I was talking earlier about what a crazy trade that's going to be in like 10 years. It does sound like they had to choose between Nemec and Luke Hughes, and obviously because the other Hughes brother is there, they're going to choose Luke. That they decided they were going to move on from Nemec, though I do think it was like a mutual decision there. Nemec was not getting the time that he felt he deserved, and the Devils felt that he was not the level that they wanted him to be at. But
he got buried in the AHL Utica.
Yeah,
for a bit.
and he was definitely better than an AHL.
No one wants to be in Utica.
Player.
Trust me.
Regardless, I think he's an NHL hockey player. Like, he's not an AHL hockey player. You want to make the debate of, is he a 1-2 versus a 5-6? Sure, I don't particularly care. He's an NHL defenseman. And with the Flames,
he hasn't had the opportunity to develop to a 1-2.
Exactly. And with the Flames, he's going to get that opportunity. He's going to get to play with Zane Parekh probably.
No, Parekh's already.
Oh, Parekh is also already? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, what an embarrassment of riches there, having to...
They're trying to get rid of White Cloud, I believe.
That happened in the Rasmussen trade, right?
Yeah, Rasmus Anderson trade.
Yeah, Rasmus Anderson, yeah.
Do you know what the Islanders were trying to do towards the end of last season because of our lack of right-handed defensemen?
What's that?
Schaefer was playing playing the other side.
Schaefer was playing... Well, I mean, when you have an elite level defenseman...
He jokingly said that he spent like half his junior time playing on the other side because they didn't have anyone able to do it. It's like, sounds really familiar. Isn't it great you have this random skill here to play both sides, where he's like, one of the games I think he had like something like 36 minutes in that single game because he was playing on both sides depending on what was going on after an injury.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the Flames, they've got Perek, they've got Nemec, they've got Pahal, and then on the left side, they've got Kevin Ball, Olimata, Joel Hanley. I think they have a good core set for the future.
Yeah, and I think they're
Getting
also
through
trying to
there.
move on from Connor Zary, I think.
I'm not 100% certain on that one.
I thought I saw like a rumor on that of them trying to move Connor Zary. I could be just speaking out of my ass. We'll ignore
Yeah,
that.
no, I see it. Darren Drager, you are correct, sir.
I don't know how much I trust Darren Dreger, but yeah.
He is at least better than Frank Saravelli. Although
Okay, yeah, fair.
Frank's very low on the totem pole. Actually, he's up there.
What else we got? Oh, Sabres sending Tuck to the Caps for a
Whoa,
similar deal with.
first,
Okay, yeah,
hold
go
on.
ahead.
First, this deal right here.
Oh, okay. Okay, the Kairu for McMichael 16th and
16th.
Gastrin.
Yeah.
I never heard of Gastrin.
Flexing on all of us there.
What's that? Like, what is Gastrin? What is he projected to be?
Middle six center.
Middle
He's a
six.
center. He's a guaranteed
Okay.
center. I wouldn't say he's top line center, but he is second, third, what looks like right now. I think he's got a solid two-way game. How high offensively he still needs to develop more, but you give it another year or two, maybe in Springfield, we'll see what happens with the Blues. Connor McMichael, they've tried the center experiment with him so many times, and this year was the last straw. When Dubois got injured, they put McMichael at center. Didn't work out. Then, God, they were just sort of ended up as being the center. The Caps had so many injuries this year; it was crazy. Sort of ended up centering McMichael and Leonard, and that line was killing it for a while. Yeah, Strome was up there. They had LaPierre playing center, who also just got traded today for popcorn, basically compared to what the Caps gave up to get him. I can get to that in a minute, but McMichael is a solid two-way winger. I don't see him developing as a center. I see him developing more as a guy that can play center in a pinch, but cannot consistently.
A winger,
Also,
a winger that can take faceoffs.
Yeah, and power play, PK. So
that could be useful if
he's a Swiss
you're either
Army
trying to
knife.
waste time on an icing for an extra 3 or 4 seconds of rest, and you get thrown out of the center. In comes the winger who can win a faceoff, or
Andrews Lee is
depending
really good
on
about
what
that,
side,
for example.
Yeah, or on depending on what side of the ice you're on, right? Left.
He's a left-hander. The thing is that because I was at the draft when he got drafted in 2019. I was at the 2019 draft, and there's a lot of talent there. It just has not been put together in DC.
I see.
Like, he can steal the puck. Like, if you're D to D, he can pick that off. I've seen him like knock down clearing attempts and skate the other way with them on a breakaway. He had a really bad habit of like trying to juke the goalie and just like slide it in, and it wasn't working. He sort of got better at it this year. Also, God, I just wish he'd like when he's on a breakaway, if he just shoots it above the pad, it's going in more often than
6-7
not.
hole, yeah.
He just didn't do it. It's the talent's there. It's just not together. It's just not put together.
It does sound like the Blues are trying to get younger.
Iru
And
was a 2016 pick.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, the idea was that Armstrong wanted to give Steen, who's taking over, like a clean slate.
Or first round draft picks.
Yeah,
that's one way to do it.
The 4 picks are not super high, right? It's like
no, they're kind of high.
Well, I mean,
there's at least one that's high, from what I understand.
11.
There's 11, 15, 16, and 29.
29. Okay, so I mean, I don't consider 11 to be super high. Like again, it's not even top 10. That being said,
Almost
by
top 10.
getting
Deep
younger,
draft for blue liners.
by getting younger and accruing picks, they've got more darts for the dartboard, right? You're going to
Yeah.
increase your chances that you're going to get a player with all of those draft picks. If I were, if I were Steen, okay, I would try and package the 29 and the 16 and see if I can get into the top 10.
Do you think they can wind up getting the 9th overall pick?
From San Jose, there's the potential there. That kind of depends on what San Jose is planning to do with
Of
the
course.
2 and the
They're
9.
going D.
But
My buddy on the
supposedly, I was going to say,
they're
like,
going D with a 9.
supposedly that they might have got be taking both of their picks and packaging them up to wind up trading them away. There's already some crazy stuff happening with the trade market right now, even with picks. So I wouldn't say trading the second overall pick to be the most outlandish thing to possibly happen, depending on what they can get.
Yeah.
One of my colleagues who's very how do I put this? The Sharks front office knows him and can get in touch with him if they need something.
Mhm.
So at the original at the original lottery, he was telling me that they were going to get D for the number 2 pick, and then I guess they changed their mind. They were like, "Oh, we can get Stenberg and get the 9th pick." You know, then they'll still get the D at number 9, but then they can also get Stenberg. And
Mhm.
Eklund was how do I put this? He's the ceiling is elite with Eklund, but because
Mhm.
of all the other talent on San Jose, he was not going to be able to get there.
Yeah,
Right.
I was really hoping the Islanders wanted to pick up so him and his brother can play together.
Yeah, that's
At least they're in the
uh,
same state.
reminds me of the Ruck brothers who are also in the draft this year, and
Are they
wondering
are,
who's going to
are
end up.
Potentially.
they are they the twins I heard of?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Edison
I think
Okay.
Happens.
I do hope they end up on um
Well, there's a
the
few
same
teams.
team.
There's a few teams that have double picks. There's a chance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
So finishing up with the Caps, Alex Tuck.
yep.
Caps sent a 3rd-round pick to get him for 8 years. I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to that. I got a nice up close and personal look at him during the 2018 Cup run,
Mhm.
games 3 and 4. Uh, I think this really solidifies the Capitals' top 4, which is like on the wings. Because you're gonna have Tom Wilson, you're gonna have Alex Tuck, you're gonna have um, Alexi Protas, you're gonna have Jordan Kyrou, Ryan Leonard obviously is gonna get in there.
Mhm.
Um, so I think,
So
and then
you're fully convinced he's gone then.
I think the Alex Tuck deal kind of like if Ovi wants to play 3rd-line wing,
Some people just like to play. Look at Yager.
I mean,
I agree.
basically Ovi past year was basically just on the power play, right? Um,
I think he did a bit more
No,
than that.
he was ozone draws and power play.
I mean, sure. I mean, that's
He didn't take a
fine.
single defensive zone draw last year until like 2 or 3 games left in the season.
Like I saw it as Washington both trying to load up to give Ovi a reason to play one more year, in addition to being prepared for when he leaves.
That's what I'm actually leaning more towards. Is like I don't even think the team has any possible insight about what his decision is going to wind up being.
Right.
Other than
And
the fact that like we talked about already on here, where he's shipping his sticks over to Moscow.
Yeah,
right. And
the museum.
that's how I saw the moves. One to retool a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem like that the leadership there are like, yeah, we don't want to go
Yeah,
full rebuild.
yeah, contingencies.
And yeah, exactly. And so regardless of whether Ovi stays or not, they're in a good spot, just in general. I don't think they're going to set the world on fire, but they're going to be a good hockey team. Maybe even they squeak in at a wild card.
Mhm.
You have to understand. Last year they had no center depth. PLD
Right.
was injured. They were throwing
Yeah.
Sordif out there to play. So, and they finished with 95 points.
Yeah.
Now you have, Sordif, Ilya Protas, Dubois, Strome, in some order, playing center, and then all the wingers. In addition to what I said earlier about Kyrou Tuck, Protas, Wilson, Leonard, you have Beauvillier is going to be in the bottom six somewhere. Andrew Cristal is expected to
I
come
still
up.
miss him.
Yeah. Ivan Miroshnichenko, they got one of the fastest skaters in the NHL too with Ethan Frank. There is talent there. Need to get the lines to gel. Oh, and sort of last year was his rookie year. Leonard was his first full year as well. Cole Hudson, we saw him debut. Sandin's injured. I'm not too worried as a Caps fan because left side you're gonna have Chikrin, Hudson, you're gonna have Faravari, and what am I missing? God. Right side is Roy Liljegren. Yeah, Sandin's injured. So it's really that six defenseman. Oh, and then
Yeah.
Logan Thompson,
I
second
wouldn't be
best
too
goalie in
worried
the
either,
league last
honestly.
year. Yeah. Logan
I wouldn't
Thompson
be
was second team last year.
right. Yeah.
Second
Logan
team
Thompson
goalie.
looks really good. Like Ovi had 64 points last year, but he was averaging over 4 minutes a game on the power play. Okay. Tuck
Yeah.
finished with, I think, 66, 67 points last year and was getting under 2 minutes a game on the power play. So I imagine Tuck's numbers are going to go up a little bit. And so point for point, you're going to end up ahead. I would still like to see if Ovi is still planning to play,
Mhm.
you could still get 30 power play goals out of him and
What do you think?
be in an even better spot.
What do you think?
And
What do you think if he does come back for one more year? That Cafe is going to wind up being. Do you think he's just going to be doing like some players like floor, the $1
No, I
million
don't think so.
dollars?
No, I don't think so. I think
uh,
it'll be like there's a one, there's a like a respect there
Yeah,
type of thing, and then two, like
bonuses.
there's like a bit of pride there, right? You're not going to be playing for like pennies on the dollar.
I don't know.
But
Some players who, for example, look at Chara's last two contract with the Capitals and with the Islanders.
I mean, true. I would just say, like, looking at the cap hits of other players on the team, like Pierre-Luc Dubois is at 8.5, Kyrou is at 8.25 or 8.125, and then Tom Wilson is at 6. I would say for 1 year he would come in where Tom Wilson is for six
Six
and a
point
half.
five.
Yeah, for a last run at it, I could see that being worth his
Do
time.
would you be willing to pay that if he was willing to do it? Because I have the page
Maybe
open right now because you got 4.3 million in cap space at this moment.
14.3.
Yeah, if I
14.3.
yeah if I said 4.3, I meant 14.3.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I think we'll see what happens. Last trade today. Valerie Nichushkin, the Jackets from the Avalanche for a second, third, and fifth. Looks like Avalanche have run out of rope with Nuke.
I actually see this as more of a Jackets desperation play because I'm fairly certain Werenski wants out, and he's got who to play with there, and so I see Nichushkin as a body to make it like Columbus more palatable for Werenski, and less so about the Avs being just done with Nichushkin.
Okay. Because, there's been a lot in his.
Oh, I know. He used to be with the Kraken, and there was or not the Kraken,
No,
but when
that playoff series.
yeah, exactly, that playoff series when they were playing the Kraken. Yeah, I remember all of that. That
Yeah.
being said, Like, speaking of teams that I don't think are going to be able to spend to the cap, here are the Columbus Blue Jackets, who can't get anybody to stay for a significant amount of time. And it's
Yeah.
not because Ohio is a bad place to be. It's just
Yeah,
they have not
they
put
also
together
have
a good team.
like
They-
did Elvis's issues with Columbus get worked out at some point? Because he requested a trade like 3 years ago.
I'm not certain, but he's on the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
Jet Greaves is a phenomenal goalie, though.
Yeah.
One other item I'd like to point out is that Line, there was a interview with Adam Fantilli where he mentioned that that period where Babcock was the head coach,
Mhm.
there were some issues between Line and Babcock. Line, even though Babcock left, Line ended up in the player assistance program,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
which is the players, I think, from that period of time. Maybe something happened, and apparently, allegedly there's issues with Boone Jenner because you would think the captain would be re-signed by now, and he's not, which leads credence to those rumors.
Right.
So it might be something going on in the locker room in Columbus. I know Mike Commodore was his former Blue Jacket was saying some stuff in the podcast of things that went on with Babcock there. So, because remember, Yarmo got fired. They basically cleaned house in the front office. Coaches, was the coach they just had, and he was just saying that the team just doesn't. They don't have it. Like they don't want to finish.
Man, they got a decent amount of players on. Also, like this upcoming season is going to be their last season on their deals. They got what 5
Rick Bonus.
UFAs. They got 4 RFAs this year. It's like if they wanted to, they can either commit one way or the other to like to buy. No, granted, they have no second round picks from now until 2029.
29. Yeah.
But it's so they have potential to wind up like eating up some cap space from some people and getting players in return, or they could want is just saying we're going to eat cap space from our people, and just getting all doing what Arizona wanted doing, which I thought was a really smart thing for them to do. Is just like we're going to eat all of your bad contracts, and we're going to take all of your picks, and just completely build everything up from there. Just do a culture reset.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think they need to burn things to the ground.
I don't
If they
necessarily
can
think so
keep
either.
if they can keep Werenski in the fold, okay, all is not lost because they've got Provorov, okay, they've got Fantilli, they've got Ken Johnson, okay, they've got a couple anchor contracts that I wouldn't be happy to have. Charlie Coyle being one.
They just signed
Mhm.
him.
Yeah, which is I don't like that contract. However, again, the cap is going up, and
Yeah.
so
6
the,
million
the
isn't that big anymore in comparison.
right. But is Columbus going to be a team that's going to spend to the cap? And I don't think they will.
I think their bigger question for me personally, because I value goaltending so much heavier than some other people, is Elvis. Like their other goalie, Chet Reeves, is a RFA this year. He's 25,
Mm-hmm.
He's going to
and
resign, but he was
Oh yeah,
phenomenal.
he'll resign, and they should get a cheaper backup than Elvis Merzlikins. And I mean, if Florida can't figure out the Bob situation, there's a goalie.
Elvis. Yeah.
they'd have to either way to your trade for him.
Yeah,
Oh yes,
that's
they
fine.
would have to trade. Yeah, exactly.
Elvis has a 10-team no trade list July 1st. So if we see a trade, it'll be
Now that would be a
Gotcha.
significant downgrade in my opinion. But Like if
I
Bob
think
doesn't want to sign for anything less than I
And
don't know, however much he wants,
with
and Florida can't afford it.
yeah, it's. I think Elvis is underrated for what he is because he's been with the Blue Jackets of all teams
Sure.
the entire time. It's
Mhm.
granted their strong side seems to be more on their defense with offense, so that helps him a bit. But there also is just he's someone who's publicly said he wants out. And he said, I
Mhm.
think he said he wanted out like last week, 2 months ago, or at the beginning of this past season. We're going back like 3 seasons ago that he said he
yeah,
wanted out, and they
Yep.
haven't given that to him yet. So he
Yep.
could just be there, pissed off, saying like he doesn't care what his value is, uh, and he'll go for. I mean, he's 32 right now. He might even go cheaper, potentially even cheaper for his next contract, just to make sure he's with a good team for 2 years, prove
Mhm. Mhm.
himself, and then he can go hopefully win a cup in those 2 years. But unless he's with the Rags,
Mhm. Mhm.
they're not winning a cup.
if they win a cup with whatever team it is, asterisk, and then he can go make I don't know $8 million, $9 million somewhere else.
Florida's still got 2 second-round picks this year. And it's clear to me that
I
Florida does
believe
not give
one
a
is the
damn about
Caps.
yeah, and Florida does not give a damn about picks, clearly. That could be an easy solution for both teams. A second round pick for Merzlikins. You re-sign Jet Greaves, you find a backup. Like
You think just the one second round pick for all this?
probably, especially as a guy who doesn't want to be there and he's gonna expire at the end of the year, might as well get something for him, right?
I don't understand that. I would have thought I would have
Well,
expect Columbus to ask more
usually
than just a
people
second round pick.
usually
You
people
could
pay
try.
more at the trade deadline. So
Oh yeah, you could again, but that would imply that Florida has a goalie, okay, and Florida's in a position to be
And
in a playoff spot,
we're also talking
and
about the
Merzlikins would
restricted.
be the upgrade.
yeah,
You also then have to deal with after the first for the restricted trade trade list.
Sure. Yep. Um, but yeah, I think Columbus is in an okay spot if they can keep Zach Werenski happy, and if they're willing to actually spend to the cap because they've got a lot of dollars to make some noise. Now Fantilli is going to get a lot. Cole Sillinger is probably going to get a decent amount. Um, you're going to have to give Ken Johnson some money next year, but that's okay because like guys are going to be coming off the books. Um, they need a name. Honestly, they just need a big name. Otherwise, they're going to fall into the trap that the Kraken have of just having a bunch of middle six guys and no real um, no real elite level forward. Um, Adam Fantilli and Ken Johnson could turn into those guys, and then maybe your problems are solved. I mean, Fantilli had 59 points last year. I could absolutely see him being a point per game guy, and then maybe like you're in much better shape.
yep.
Yeah,
Um,
and if they don't want to do the full teardown, they could bring in a few deaf people. I mean, it's I'd hate to see him go. I really love him to sign a short friendly deal, but like you take someone like Anders Lee, who's been a big leader, big physical person, who has brought a team from like despair to into anger and wanting to fight back
yep.
into this lineup, and well, I mean, any team would like even a current year Anders Lee on their team.
hmm
Well, the good thing is later this summer we will be doing team previews. So
That's the
wherever
plan.
Anders Lee or these teams end up after July 1st,
It's going to be
with their
depressing.
roster construction, that'll be fun to look at.
Yeah,
Last thing,
most likely depressing for me.
we'll see. Last thing, the NHL draft. We've been through a lot of the picks trades. I'm going to give a shout out real quick to Ryan Lynn and Mathis Preston. I hope Ryan Lynn ends up on the Caps, but we'll see what happens. Your respective teams, I know the Kraken just sold their first rounder, and the Leafs are going with Gavin McKenna, but is there anyone else you would like to see Toronto take?
I guess it all depends on whether we move somebody for those any of the other picks in the top 10. I think we've got Ben Danford in the pipeline. I expect him to make the NHL roster this year, and I expect him to be a solid top 4 guy for us. But if we get another top 10 pick, from a nice trade or a Cowan trade, whatever it is, you've got to go after one of Chase Reed, Smith's, Verhoff, one of those defensemen, to cement that blue line for the future. OEL's getting older. Tanev is getting older.
Riley's getting older.
Yeah, I mean, he's 32 at the moment, which is crazy to say because like it feels like he's been around for literally ever.
Yeah, so it sounds like he should be more like 36.
It really does, honestly. And McCabe is in the same boat as Riley, I'm pretty sure.
He's on the trade market.
I hope not. I would rather keep McCabe. He's the only person that will two-hand you in the face for getting in getting in the goalie's face. I love.
Where was that when Matthews got kneed?
Yeah, right. We just I kind of miss like the old Brian Burke grit and truculence, because we've been lacking that for a while, and it's only going to get worse with Max Domi out because he's going to be out for a long time, I imagine, with the surgery going poorly.
Yeah. You guys completely years ago misused Matt Martin, only having him play like 20 games each season.
Yep.
And I'm still pissed off at least about that because that is the whole reason he never got his silver stick. He played over 1,000 games if you count playoffs, just not 1,000 regular season games, and that bothers me so much.
There's this really notorious coach known for ruining people's milestones.
Oh yeah.
God, I can't.
We haven't talked about that at all. I mean, granted, there's a few things with the PWHL I also wanted to bring up, but it doesn't need to happen now.
I will just say one thing about it. We can discuss after July 1st because I imagine there are moves to be made.
We have a summer of things to talk about. If the current rate of things keep going, we will forget more things to talk about than we will ever possibly bring up.
But to finish off, Mike, Islanders picking 13th overall. And then, do you have any idea on where the Islanders should go? What do you think?
I don't know. I haven't looked into any of the players. Obviously, I got no Gavin McKenna. Obviously, with that Leafs are going to track because I've seen him play in person. I went over to the World Juniors up in Ottawa. Saw him play up there, and then I went to the outdoor game at Penn State this past season and saw him play there before he then got arrested for assault.
Defending his mother's honor.
Supposedly, I think it was more just he just got kicked out of a bar for trying to drink underage at 17 years old in the U.S. Yeah, but regardless, the way that I want the Islanders to go is purely we need more right-hand defensemen. We have like one in the pipeline, and like one notable one in the pipeline, and that's pretty much it. Our entire prospect pool pretty much feels like a slacking right-hand defenseman. We need a right-hand defenseman. If there's some other deal, this is similar type of thing with the Sirens. Funny enough, the Sirens went into the draft. They desperately needed a goalie. They had a chance to draft the starting goalie for Switzerland, who almost single-handedly won them bronze in the Olympics, and they didn't do that. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that same thing's going to happen again for my other team. Whereas it's like we need more right-handed defensemen, and it doesn't, and we don't want to drafting a top right-handed defenseman talent.
Hope you guys get it.
You sure about that? Because well, you're in division with me.
It's just a nice courtesy, but
I understand. I'm just making jokes of it.
Last year they made a few deals on deadline day.
Yeah, I was thinking about that on the walk home today.
Yeah, shipped out Dobson, got a few firsts. One first for him, right?
No, we got 2 firsts.
Yeah, 2 firsts. So,
yeah, one of those 2 firsts from last year is one of the right-hand defensemen. The right-hand defenseman I'm referring to that we already have. But we need more than one because, like, I mean, we're going to re-sign Boquist as a restricted free agent because he's a right-handed defenseman. I hope we don't re-sign D'Angelo.
Deshaun Aitchison.
Yeah.
There's a story about him, too. All right.
Yeah, we can talk about it our time. Anyway, thank you, Lang, thank you, D, for spending time here on the IcyData podcast. Hope all of you enjoyed. We'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks for watching and listening, guys.
Take care.